Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Onion Soup, the show where we pull back the layers of metaphysics and reality in order to demystify spirituality. Today, we have a great guest. I'm actually really excited about this one. She is the co founder and visionary of her company, Earkick, where they're revolutionizing artificial intelligence and integrating that into mental health. Miss Karen Stefan, how are you today?
I'm so happy. You gave me such a great intro, and with the music and everything, I'm just like really in the mood.
That's good. Yeah, I love the intro actually. I was like, this is a great beat. But tell us about your company, Earkick.
So Earkick is our company. It's an AI powered platform that empowers people to measure and to improve their mental health in real time. Why is that important? Because we all know better afterwards, after we've hit a rough patch, and
Mhm.
then we start to do something. What we want to do is know ahead of time. We want to measure continuously in an effortless way, and then get a heads up, oh, you should be taking more, breaks, you should be caring more for yourself, watch this, watch that, this is a trigger, etc., and then be able to react in real time. And when I say improve in real time, the solution that we built can speak to you, you can speak to it, it's really interactive. We have a cute little panda bear. The AI is basically a mascot, and you can not only chat and vent and disclose your inner thoughts because it's safe there, but you can also you learn things. And I know that your mission is all about empowering people and demystifying things and getting them the toolbox that they need when they're facing challenges in life. And that's what Earkick does too. So I'm happy to walk you and your audience through how this platform works. But in essence, that's what Earkick is.
Oh wow, that kind of changes what I want to ask. So I am curious, more curious about it actually. So how does it work? When you say that you can talk to it, is it
Yeah.
almost like talking to a friend, or is it more talking to a therapist type vibe? What are we talking about here?
That's a good question. So let's take a step back. First of all, it's important to talk at all, right?
Mm,
Most problems start very small, and they become bigger if we ignore them or push them down or under the rug when we don't talk about it. Whether we find the courage to talk about it to a friend, or we feel better to talk to an AI because the AI never judges us, it's
mm,
up to us, right? But the main thing here is to talk about it, to express yourself and not bottle it up. We're not made for that, right?
yeah.
So mental health is something that we all have and that we need to prioritize. And one way to go about it is to just get used to get things off your chest, off
Mm,
your head, and have a little reflection and not make it part of you. If
mm,
somebody rejects you or something bad happens to you, that's not you. You can speak it off your soul, off your mind, and then maybe reflect on it. And that's where the AI that we built comes in handy, because it will give you actionable suggestions. It will interact with you. You can ask lots of questions, and it's even funny, right? To your point, whether it's more a therapist or more a buddy, actually, in our next version, you can even choose. You can choose to have the panda be more of a tough love guy,
mm.
or more of a lovely chum, or more of like having the lingo of a therapist. What is very important is that beyond that, like in within the AI that we built, that can speak and interact with you, it's all well trained. It's science based. So
Mm.
you have all the knowledge that books can provide in that AI, and it's been tested and trained a million times. So that when you choose, let's say, a tough love kind of panda, then it will give you the same knowledge in the bits and pieces, but the way it's served, it's more of like, hey, like, I'm gonna tell you how it is, and you
Yeah.
better get going. And if you have the nice chummy guy, maybe funny guy, quirky, telling you a joke and serving you the knowledge, or maybe you have more of the therapist professional way, that's a little more reserved and very
Mm.
clear cut, etc., so that everyone that interacts with earkick can feel like they have the style and the language that suits them best.
For
So
sure.
that's all possible with AI, and it makes it possible that you get a very personalized interaction, and it's only for you and in your style and based on your data. That's the most important.
Mm. So, with it being an AI and it has machine learning, does it also have the ability to learn kind of what's the best responses for you? So, even if you did in your next iteration say that you picked a more tough love type individual, but it starts to figure out maybe that's not as effective, is it able to kind of course correct at all?
Well, it will always learn. That's already what it is doing. It'll get to know you, and know your patterns. It will give you reports about yourself, so that basically you grow along each other.
Mm,
You also will change because, for example, I use it every day. In the beginning, maybe you go like, like, and then you find yourself really opening
mm,
up and letting go of things, discussing things because you feel safe, right?
mm,
And over time, I have learned things and kind of remembers me. So the AI remembers me, and we can hop into a conversation and not have to start all over again. So most of the chatbots out there, they don't have memory. I would say none of them has memory. And so you have to start all over again, tell your story. We don't want that. We want something that grows with you, like a real companion that remembers you, that alerts you to maybe you haven't had enough sleep for
mm,
in last week, or maybe your anxiety has gone up and you didn't even feel that, but the data shows. And then it's a really good thing to see the progress in your efforts, to also be able to have agency in what is happening in your life and not feel like you're controlled by the world, by your circumstances, that you're doomed, all these things. And yes, the AI gets more intelligent, and
yeah.
you get more intelligence too.
That's so wonderful. I love this idea. So, is there some type of like journaling in there as well, or like
Yeah.
journal prompts and things like that?
Let me walk you through that. So it's really effortless. Why? Because we're all busy people, right?
Mhm,
And we all know that journaling is healing and journaling is very important. Whether you're feeling bad or good, or you're at the top of your career, it's always a good thing to do. But you may not always have your pen and paper, and then it gets lost. So that's why we made your kick really effortless. You download the app, it's free. You don't have to register. You do not have to leave any personal data. You can just go ahead. And then you record your voice for a few seconds. Say whatever. Like today, I said I spoke into it. I'm very excited. I'm having this podcast, and I don't know yet what it's going to be exactly about. And so I was chatting away. And while I do that, the algorithm picks up on my voice, how I say it,
mm,
what I say, and correlates it with other data, health data, location, whether you have it, and then will pre-fill my diary, sort of
mm,
my journal, right? It will put in my emotions. It will put in my anxiety it picked up on. It will put in the reasons, the topics that are on my mind, the symptoms, etc. And you can correct it if it's not as you felt it should be.
mm,
And while you end speaking or typing or videoing, whatever you choose, the algorithm will already have generated an answer or like a validation. So the panda appears and writes to you, in my case, it was, oh, this is, it's normal to be a little excited when there's a
Mm,
podcast coming. Remember to prepare a little bit, remember to be well rested, hydrate yourself. It gives me a few really actionable steps to do, and I already feel better, and I feel like I can do this, right? So it's really helpful, really in an accessible way. And
mm,
I have everything, all these interactions, all my data is in the app, so I can consult it anytime, right? I can go back and see, oh, what was the last time I had this situation, or why was I anxious, or you can learn by going back, and you don't have to worry that your notes are all over the place or that you will forget something. It's all automatically filled into your app, into your
mhm.
diary, and you can keep it forever, right? So it doesn't get any easier, I would say, to
You
journal.
know what sounds super cool about that? Because you mentioned voice pattern recognition and it being able to
Mhm,
pick up basically on
mhm.
emotions.
Yes.
So I've never heard of an AI that can pick up on emotions like that. How does
Yeah,
that
it
work? Just
can.
curious.
Well, you train the models on billions of data points that we
Mm,
collected in the wild. So, not in some studio or in some doctor's office, really in the wild with actual people in actual homes, in situations where they are every day.
mhm,
And you train the models, and they, in the beginning, maybe they're not as accurate, but we have reached an extremely high accuracy, I would say top in the world,
mm,
where it can detect whether you are sad or you're worried, or whether your voice displays any anxiety or happiness, and it'll then make a, like a, not a guess, but a very well
mm,
informed guess, and tell you whether whether you're doing fine or not, and
mm,
then emotions it can hear, for example, whether you're happy, or whether
mm,
you're excited, or whether you're doubtful, or whether you're angry. All these things are displayed in how we speak and what we speak, and it does it in real time. So it's really nice because you feel heard and you feel validated,
mhm,
because those are feels that everyone can have, and we don't have to be ashamed of it. And with earkick, there is no judgment, and the panda will pick up on it, and
mm,
you know and start a conversation about the most important things. And
right,
for example, it caught me with one of my cognitive yeah, uh, dissonances. This is when you kind of have like an idea in your head, and you
mhm,
think people are going to judge you, etc. And I was chatting away, and the panda wrote to me, it's not important that people in the room with you are more intelligent, smarter than you.
mhm,
That's not the point here. Think about this like this. And I didn't even remember how I said it. And he picked up on it, and right away, I was like, let's talk about this. And
yeah,
that's pretty much what a therapist would do too. They would listen to you and then pick up on things that you say, and dig a little deeper and get you to reflect.
right.
Yeah.
Wow, so you mentioned cognitive dissonance and then kind of went a
Mhm.
little bit into the imposter syndrome. So I'm just curious about how do you got started with this? Because so for me personally, when I got started with the things that I want to do, as
Mhm.
far as the show and my other business and things, it was because I saw a place where I needed help and I wanted to help fill that gap for people. So is that something that kind of translated for you in creating this business?
Absolutely. I will share with you. It was so frustrating throughout my whole life. I saw people not rise up to their potential. And
Mm,
believe me, I have seen talented people. I was a musician in my first life. I know what stage fright feels like. I know what it feels like to be totally lonely and feel like a total failure. So, all these feels. And I think it just frustrated me, because you saw the potential of people in my teams or people that I led, and they didn't get there because something came in their way, and it was always mental health. It was never physical health. It was always they started self-destructing, or they had trauma, or they had people telling them they didn't belong, they weren't worth it, and they believed in that. And I was like, okay, so now we have all these people that could be amazing in life and really change the world, and they crumble because they don't see it coming, and then they slowly go down rabbit holes, and by the time they're seriously ill, they're too weak to really reflect. They're
Yeah.
too weak to engage in self care. And that's when they actually start feeling like the failure thing is true. And I was so frustrated with this that I said, it's got to be different. We have to have a different way. The way it's done nowadays is that you have to really feel ill. You have to be in a bad place to get help. You
Mhm.
have to be sick, right? That's when you then slowly, if at all, get into therapy. And what we need to be doing is tell you, me, everyone, from the very beginning, the first, little cognitive dissonance, the first little negative talk, and go right there and say, let's discuss this, right? And
Mhm.
you needn't go to hospital, you needn't go to a therapist for that, right? You can just discuss it with the AI, or you can be alerted to it. And then we hopefully never see you go down those rabbit holes.
Mhm.
That's why we started Earkick. We started with the measurement part because you need to know where you're at. You may not connect the dots. You may not realize that you're about to burn out.
Mhm.
And we created the bit with the generative AI where you get um, served and provided help that's tailored to you, to your situation, to your style of imposter syndrome, let's say, and that's when we realized that people can accept it. They accept it from a panda, from an AI, because they know it's in their best interest and nobody else is watching it. There's no human ear and eyes there. It's just
Mhm.
an AI and it's trying to help.
Oh, wow. Well, we're going to take a really quick break. This is wonderful. Welcome back. So, a moment ago, we were talking about run using the panda, and pandas are generally looked at as peaceful, relaxing creatures, even though they had these big foreboding presences. And we were talking about burnout. So
Mhm.
I was wondering, how or in what ways do you use spirituality, and how does that integrate into the technology with your kick?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. We live in a very noisy world. And in a world where we have an opportunity to distract ourselves, to lose sleep, to be constantly bombarded with messages and reminders. And so when we talk about spirituality, reflection, introspection, that just doesn't happen in that environment.
Mhm,
And all of us, we first have to find a way to listen and observe and
mhm,
come into that peace. It's not going to happen by itself. It's just something that you need to train. You need to practice. And you will not practice it unless you see the effect. So,
mhm,
the way we do it, the panda will always start encouraging you to do things that you can do. Let's see. You can go for a walk in nature and just breathe, right? It will encourage you to do it. And once you start doing it, it's only 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you realize, whoa, there is healing power.
mhm,
And you might even see it in the data, in your heart rate, in how you
mhm,
get better if you do it more often. Or let's say you do meditation or breathing exercise and you try it out in the beginning and you go like, oh my God, my data looks better now, and you keep going. So you're incentivized to do that. And to me, it's a good entry into all things spirituality
Mm-hmm.
into letting go of all that noise, into um, stopping the chatter, stopping comparing with the whole world and feeling bad because you're doom scrolling on social media. And the reward will be that you more and more see the data, but also start to experience healing, experience joy that is beyond pleasure. And you experience yourself. And then the path to your inner world starts to open up. It's not enough to just,
Mm-hmm.
start, but hopefully by being connected to the real world and to real people and to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you will get curious to explore more. And hopefully you get the chance to meet a teacher or to meet, someone who can guide you, but it will definitely not happen in the midst of the noise that I described. So we have to start where people are, where we are right now, which is
Mm-hmm.
online in this frenzy world, and get their attention and reward them and show them there is something beneath that. And it's wonderful. It's what you've been looking for. But it's a long journey.
Oh, for sure. So
Mhm.
when you talk about introspection, and then say you have an introspective moment during meditation or something like that, and then you go back and talk to the AI, and
Mhm.
the AI, if it's pulling from more of a psychology background or basis, does it use primarily psychological ideas to explain the introspection, or does it use some of the more ancient wisdom to explain that?
It's a very good question. It will it will talk about you to the depth that you yourself can go. So
Mm,
it does have a lot of wisdom, but you have to start somewhere, and it's like with a good friend. You're not going to go right in there, deep, 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 deep. Um, you will have a conversation, and if the AI sort of ask you, and you can, get the conversation to go deeper, it will go with you.
mm,
It will always, always try to nudge you to the real world and
yeah,
reconnect you to community. And that's my deepest hope, that yes, we meet people where they are online, etc. But
mhm,
eventually we hope they will never have to come back to the phone or any other device, and just reconnect so deeply with their now and present, and with their body, with their people, with their soul, that they no longer need guidance. But that's, that would be the North Star.
yeah, for sure. I feel like we're pretty
Yeah.
far off from a point where, well, far off is relative, right? Because the way time works. So, you know,
Spirituality is work. It's not and woo woo and an easy ride. It's hard work, and it's not linear. So people, we all have to we have to work our path towards a higher level of self-consciousness, and what, it's introspection, whatever you want to call it. But the main thing to keep going is to see the progress and to be encouraged. And that's where the AI is really, really good. So if I tell Panda, hey, I had such a good meditation, or breathing just really worked for me, it will reinforce you. It will tell you, keep going, this is good. And have you talked about it with a friend? And, you know, so that's where AI is really good at. And hopefully it'll keep you engaged if you embark on a journey towards your inner life.
wow. So I really love the fact that it's able to really track your progress. And
Mhm.
ideally, as your progress starts to increase, you're increasing your time in nature, increasing your time with self. But we only have a few minutes left. Is there something that you would like to leave the audience with?
Absolutely. I would love to get in touch with you and hear whether that ear kick solution works for you, what we can improve, what helps you best. I would love to hear. And because we keep developing it, we keep improving it. And it's thanks to all our members that this has been possible, that people really love it. Please download it, check it out, get in touch. You can see all my handles here, and my email is Karin@earkick.com. I will answer any email. And this is a collaborative effort. We all need to be in this, and there's so much to discover. I encourage you to be curious, and to go on that journey together with me and with Dexter and with everyone else that is like you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Miss Karen Stefan. This has been wonderful. And please, everybody, go check her website out. Download. I'm going to be downloading this directly after we get done. So really excited. And as always, we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dexter.